So we are here at the sprawling MCA facility of FM Logistics India. This is seen as a major step after the company first announced its Powering 2030 strategy. So I have with me the man himself, Mr. Ajit Jangle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
As an MD of the company, thank you so much firstly for inviting us to your sprawling MCF facility. But just let's rewind the clock and go back to the Powering 2030 announcement that was made, because I believe this is directly linked to your Powering 2030 strategy. So let's start with that.
So if you see the FM Logistics India, our strategy to provide the technology-based value proposition.
Right.
So it is not about only warehousing or transportation or something. I think we understand customer well.
Right.
We have an ability to understand pain areas, try to create a solution around it.
Right.
And for that we can add maybe our transportation services, which can be FTL, which can be distribution, warehousing distribution,
Right.
which can be inbound to manufacturing, which can be 4PL services, which can be lead logistics service provider. So these are the different services. So
Right.
what we do is at first understand the customer, try to see what exactly the solution can we work around, how we can execute it properly, and create value proposition so the customer win in the market.
Right.
So that is what we are doing.
Right. Broadly in that 2030 fine print, two words kept coming back. One was omnichannel distribution, and the other was, of course, sustainability. So let's touch on each of these individually. You said it's going to be tailored to a customer's requirement. So how does omnichannel step in over there, and how big road transportation is a part of it?
Correct. So omnichannel, when we say for the audience, is that somebody now today there are different ways the customer can get delivered.
Right.
So somebody is going into the store and then buying something.
Sure.
Somebody is going on the internet. Somebody going through the mobile. Somebody is possibly having some different ways of managing it.
Right.
So for the B2B, B2C, going different routes has a very different kind of a supply chain. But now there's a pressure on the warehouse that we cannot have a warehouses for the different channel differently.
Right.
So we need to possibly accommodate that flexibility in the existing warehouse so that we can manage the mobile app or internet users. We can possibly supply to the normal shopping malls.
On a lighter note, then you should call it MCC, multi-client, multi-channel facility.
Absolutely,
right.
absolutely. I think that is a multi-client, multi-channel, multi-variability facility, because the whole supply chain itself is very different.
Right.
In one supply chain, my TAT is maybe in 24 hours, which is going to, let's say, shops.
Right.
But when we get order from the, let's say, e-commerce platform for the same customer, that has to be delivered in the few hours.
Right.
So for that, the different distribution part is required.
Right.
But not only distribution, but the warehouse also designed different way, the managed different way, and deliver different way.
Right.
You asked the second question is about the distribution component of that.
Yes.
The distribution component is a very critical component, because when we are in a warehouse, which is in a boundary where we have a lot of control on the most of the variabilities.
Right.
When it's leave to the warehouse, to the customer, then the variables get added over there and it become more complex. Now, for example, to cater to single digit hours, then it cannot be possible directly from the mother warehouse.
Right.
So then we create, let's say, the urban small warehouses near to the city,
Right.
which is a very small stock, but can be delivered very quickly in maybe 2 hours or 3 hours kind of a stuff.
Right.
Some concept which we are experimenting, that can we have an inventory on the wheel. So instead of having this particular inventory where somewhere stationary,
Right.
can we, based on the
move.
forecast, can we have a move?
Okay.
The third thing which we are doing is that how we can do route planning such a way that then all the customers can be managed in the same planning.
Right.
Another experiment which we are trying to do is that when we talk about the multi-client facility, we are experimenting with the retailers, that because in this facility itself we have 4 different retail brands.
Right.
So their requirements are similar.
Right.
Requirements from the external customer and even the requirement of managing warehouse internally. So people required with a picker and the DOs and the packers and loader has a different skill set.
Right.
Somebody can do retail, may not be able to do maybe high tech equally good.
Right.
So I think what we are trying to do is that we are trying to dedicate maybe some of the MCFs for the certain verticals.
Okay.
So this will possibly, maybe next year when you come, this will become possibly the only for retail.
Okay.
And what we are trying to do is that they have a major pain in refurbishment. So we are creating the refurbishment center so that when the cargo comes there with the returns basically, it is very challenging. Today there's a lot of time they take to come again back to the for the sale, and that is a big inventory carrying capacity.
Yes.
So we are now creating a refurbished center on a variable cost, so that there is no specific cost attached to any specific retailer.
Right.
Similarly, for the distribution, as you asked, that same customers will be going to the similar kind of a customer point for delivery.
Right.
We are trying to create the consolidated delivery so that everybody will save per piece cost.
Right.
And this is what the value creation we are trying to do, and that is what the coming into the omni-channel and the retail and the 2020-30 strategy.
Right. So since you've gotten deep into costs, let's look at the major cry for the industry, which is to lower the logistics costs from about 13 to 14% of GDP. Where are we currently, and where do we aspire to go?
So first of all, this 13-14%, which number I'm in this industry for 30 years.
You're hearing that,
and I'm hearing the same thing again and again.
Yes.
The challenge is about, forget about India, even any customer also may not be able to knowing today what is their supply chain cost percentage in their revenue.
But it's a major challenge.
But it's a major challenge.
Right.
So let's say, instead of debating on number, it is substantial cost.
Right.
And every logistics manager have a first KPI in their yearly increment, that how much you reduced.
Okay.
So if you see that if at 30 years, every year if you are reducing by 10%, by this time it has to be
you would have
zero.
crossed that, yes.
But I think that is not situation, because the requirement of the customer is also changing.
Right.
So what was the maybe earlier go down cost, which is 30 years back, and what is the multi-client facility cost must be very different.
Right.
But the order requirement, let's say earlier 3 days delay also is okay.
Yeah.
But now even the 3 hours delay
Now
is
you
not
want same day delivery.
So it is not only the cost, but what is the KPIs and what is the cost along with that.
Right.
I think we need to have that part done.
Right.
But coming back to your question, I think the good part is that the infrastructure around us is improving very rapidly.
Right.
It can be trucks, it can be ports, it can be a roll network. Is absolutely amazing. So whatever we used to do, maybe travel maybe earlier, now we are able to cover 800 kilometers per day easily.
Okay.
So that kind of infrastructure that reduces the cost itself by almost like a 20-30%.
Right.
And this we are ready to pass to their customers.
Okay.
So that is what where we are moving in.
Right.
But point is also is that time everything can be possibly put on the FTL. But now the requirement is that somebody, let's say e-commerce, because of
you
that.
want PTL over there.
So now everybody want, instead of bulk buying, they have a piece buying.
Right.
So that change is happening. So again, cost is going somewhere else.
Okay.
But again, more than the supply chain to look from the cost perspective, I think supply chain should be looked from the value perspective.
Right.
Today, let's say if I given a choice that, okay, I deliver this in, let's say 100 rupees, and then you reach on the time. And second is that you say that, okay, it will reach on the 70 rupees, but may not be delay for that. But in that 2 hours of delay, if the customer come there and that shelf is not available, then you lose one customer and the margins, and that customer possibly will take another 6 months to come back to that.
Right.
So that loss of sale cost is substantially higher than the 30 rupees you save.
Right.
So I think we need to see that where need to save and where need to invest.
Right.
And that is the way question is coming, that the kind of a good compliant facility, having the good technology around it,
Right.
so that we can have a visibility and the sustainability.
Right. Now you mentioned this buffer that you had where you can pass through to the customer, and perhaps that is what has given you an opportunity to fast track the evolution towards sophisticated technologies like automation, which is the buzzword for today.
Correct.
So tell us about, one, there is a hesitance or has been a hesitance to the upfront costs involved, and then you are looking at breaking even in terms of your returns over a particular life cycle. So how do you juggle that fine line of wanting to upgrade at the same time ensuring that it makes a business case? Till now it was not the case, but now with companies like you taking the lead, do you feel it's a better business case in today's scenario?
Again, so I mentioned to you in my presentation that different stages of the automation.
Yes.
So we are not expecting that from the 1 we can go directly in the 5th gear.
Yeah.
I think we need to change the gear in
That has to be a gradual
change.
Yes.
So the first thing what we are trying to do, that something which can able to improve our productivity, those automation we are trying to do more.
Okay.
So our focus is more about the productivity and the safety.
Right.
Because as a core values, we ensure that all the collaborators, we have 5,000 people working for us,
Right.
which is quite a big number. So we carry responsibility of
Those
their
lives.
health and the safety. So we ensure that a lot of automation come in the safety
Right.
and the sustainability and the productivity. These are
Right.
the three areas which we are currently focusing in. So when we talk about productivity, that number it automatically comes because their ROI comes into play.
Right.
In a safety wise, directly ROI doesn't come into play. But you mentioned that how many hours which we have a safe zone. This really helps a customer to select the right partner like us.
Right.
So it may not be I will save cost somewhere, but I get a more sale. Last 3 years we are having 25% CAGR goal,
Okay.
which is unheard of
Yeah,
in
it's
this
a
particular
significant,
area.
very significant.
And this will continue for another 3 years for sure. That is what our commitment to the industry.
Right.
So point is that is happening because the customer also choosing the partner in the right way. The partner who is a sustainable partner is taking care of the safety measures. These are very important. See, sustainability, compliance was not there so important for customer 5 years back.
Yeah. It was
But
not
now
even a consideration. Yeah.
But now the customers are also maturing, their compliances are maturing. So now people are looking for the compliant warehouse,
Right.
safe area, somebody who is culturally aligned, because this is not a transactional business.
Right.
One customer come is a long-term contract. So you may be having good infrastructure, but you don't have a right cultural fit.
Right.
Then it is also a challenge.
Right.
So I think those all aspects help. For example, we put the automation now such a way that there is no man-machine connect will be there. So that it automatically gives safe manpower, and then there is a people are eager to work for us.
Right.
Because as a one pain point for the industry is attracting the talent,
Right.
and retaining the talent. I think when we take care of them, then they also take care of us.
They give back more than
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
So now something is intangible, something is productivity is absolutely tangible.
Right.
Sustainable like solar panels is paying their ROI is very, very clear there.
Right.
That is not a problem. But some other sustainable activities may not have a direct tangible thing.
Right.
Along with that, what we do the gender balance also, which is unheard in the current industry. So we ensure that in every facility we have at least 15% of the females.
Right.
We also ensure, and this is a new in the industry, that in all the, this is my 6 logistics company, all the companies we were trained and asked that we should have as less of people on the roll.
Okay.
This is the first company that's saying that we need to have as more as people on the roll.
Okay.
Because then those people have a very clear understanding career path.
Right.
They will stick with us. We can train them. We can
Yeah.
elevate them, and ultimately they will contribute in the productivity. So the whole value system and culture itself is a different in the FM logistics India,
Right, right.
which I can say.
Right. Now, this of course is a multinational. Tell us this beautiful MCF facility. How does it match to a facility abroad? You know, we've seen the kind of technology that was spoken of today in European warehouses. You know, perhaps like Hapag-Lloyd and all those big organizations. How does this match up to that, or how big a step is this towards India realizing that kind of a warehouse automation?
So with this 30 years of experience, I traveled more than at least 50 countries globally, including all developed countries.
Right.
And I can possibly confidently share with you that this is sometime at par or sometime surpassing the standards also.
Okay.
So that is about the infrastructure.
Right.
But infrastructure you can buy.
Yeah.
The challenge is that the complexity
well-oiled.
which we are managing here,
Yeah.
that kind of a complexity not there in European or the developed US market also.
Okay.
So the Indian market is very, very complex.
Right.
And this you can ask anybody who is in this industry.
Right.
And we are creating different solution, which solution are not heard of in the global supply
Context.
chain context also.
Okay.
So I think I take pride that it is not only facility, but then in terms of supply chain solution, the kind of a volume, the kind of SKU level, kind of customer expectation, that is way ahead of the development.
Right, right. To you sustain this particular evolution and to mature even further with Indian complexities as your backdrop, what is the kind of capex, opex perhaps that you earmarked in the next 3 to 5 years? What do we expect from FM Logistics in terms of enhancing, perhaps augmenting your capacity? Like you said, very interesting point that one MCF could be dedicated to one vertical. So these kind of adjustments broadly on a 5-year term, what can we look forward to?
So this, as I said, the 25% of growth will continue for next 5 years for sure. That is one part.
Right.
Along with that, the warehousing capacity also will increase.
Right.
We intend to have at least one MCF in every year moving forward.
Okay.
Maybe after 3 years, it will be possibly 2 MCF in 1 year also. It can happen.
Okay.
So that kind of a growth in the warehousing which we see. We also investing a lot of in the technology of upgrading our transportation management system and the control tower. We see a lot of growth in the 4PL and LLP business, which is a lead logistics player.
Okay.
So this lead logistics provider, we are the almost unique homing which we got, where one customer we are putting about 250 vehicles every day.
Oh, wow.
And that is also without owning anything, but partnering with the right transporters.
Right.
We provide that solution because availability of transporter is not a problem. Understanding the supply chain and creating the technology for that is a challenge which we are solving. If everything goes well, we will possibly double our transportation portfolio in next 2 years time, because that kind of a niche product is not available in the market.
Right.
So we are trying to do something which is not available in the market, something which requires some funding also, and something which you don't require funding in infrastructure, but in the people and the technology basically.
Right.
So that we intend to.
Right. Now, this of course is a IGBC certified warehouse facility. When you look at sustainability, your transporters are perhaps a very, very integral part of this entire value chain. How do you ensure that they also have a business with returns? You know, how is the agreement, bipartite agreement with your transporters? What are their bottlenecks that you are trying to solve?
Okay, so that's why I mentioned that we don't invest in the vehicle per se.
Yeah, but in a leased model.
But then we have a long-term contracts with our transport service providers.
Right.
Those are with a minimum guarantee. We need to ensure that they have a sustainability in their business model.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if they are not happy or not profitable, they will not have. There will be impact on the service level, which ultimately will impact our customer.
Right.
So we have that customer management with us.
Okay.
And with that, we are managing these large customers. So every customer, which is for the mainly for lead logistics provider, is more than 250 vehicles per day kind of a customer.
Right.
So which is good. Another customer, which is Royal Canin, which you must have seen.
Yes.
We have created an ecosystem such a way that their general warehousing also under one roof. Their bonded warehouses under one roof. Their co-packing facility under one roof. We are offering the distribution services for them. And now maybe in next few months, we'll start with the global supply chain for them also.
Okay.
So one customer, they don't have to go anywhere. So in a real sense, is a one-stop service provider. And in that, everything is on the control tower.
Right.
So this is again a good combination of infrastructure, good combination of value proposition and the solution ability, good combination of execution of that, and the top layer of the technology on that.
Right. Final leg of questions. How do you look at the recent government interventions for the logistics industry? You know, there's various schemes going on, the PM Gati Shakti, Bharat Mala, etc., etc. How have these schemes translated to on-ground efficiencies and advantages for you all? And what is it that you still expect the government to look at?
Okay, so first thing is that there's a lot of focus in about building the infrastructure.
Right.
And that is absolutely converting into our efficiency when we talk about the transportation.
Right.
So earlier when we used to run maybe 300 kilometers per day, now going to 650 and 800 become the really cakewalk, not a normal issue, not an issue at all. So that is one part of it.
Right.
Second is that the whole supply chain logistic industry is getting matured. A lot of compliances also is now looked from the customer.
Okay.
So it is now a time for having the compliance warehouses. So this is a huge opportunity for the service provider MNC like us, who really value the compliance, because if the market is not really demanding compliant warehouse, then the question of we bringing doesn't come, then the cost difference becomes.
Right.
But now the compliance become the mandatory, then that push is there that many customers, they are moving from non-compliant warehouses. For last several years, they are 50 years they are managing it. But now moving to the compliant warehouses, which is adding a lot of growth to the organized players like us. That is the second part of it. The third part of it, not from the government, but the e-commerce boom and the retail boom is driving a majorly a KPI raising behavior, that whatever was best yesterday is no more best today.
Right.
So that particular part, which has a government impact in e-commerce and retail, that is indirectly helping the logistics industry to go towards the sophistication.
Right. Have you been a direct beneficiaries of systems like ONDC?
So we are exploring that. We are not really started using it that
Right.
effectively.
In my
because-
knowledge, I think one big player has signed up with them.
Yeah. So is about, we understand what it is. We try to see what exactly it can bring value to us and our customers. Mainly for the transportation area, we see that can be done because we are looking for large contracts with several transporters, something
Okay.
where this platform can be used. But then we are in a early stage of exploring that. Yeah.
Right. Right. Thank you so much for your time. Valuable insights. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.